Hi, this is Ryan. So today we will learn some basic information about orchids and some tips on how to take care of them. We will see how my orchids has progressed as well. Alright, so we will start with Vanda CHRISTENSONIA vietnamica. So this Vanda was discovered in 1993 in Vietnam. Now, the species was clearly a small vanda-like orchid, but the flowers were so genuinely different compared to the usual vanda flowers that we see. Now, this Vanda vietnamica was named after one of the most talented orchid biologists, Dr. Eric Christensen, PhD in orchids, and this Vanda is came from rather from the lowlands of southern Vietnam. These species like warm conditions all year around and less light than the typical vandas that we have. The fragrance of this vanda was one of the reasons why I purchased this orchid. It has a very pleasant scent. When it started to bloom, the flowers will have a light yellow and green shade on its petals. Then once it completely blooms, the petals will turn yellow shade completely. If you can all remember, I have been taking its video from the day we've seen the flower spike grow till I moved it from the greenhouse to our front house to observe its flower buds till it completely bloom. So next is Cattleya FOURNIERI. It's a miniature-sized Cattleya orchid that came from Brazil. Now you can actually grow this Cattleya FOURNIERI in a pot with plenty of charcoal or cocoa chunks in a media. You can put it in a very bright light and you can water it throughout the year. Now the plant itself needs to dry rapidly after you water them, so you need to make sure that you're using a pot that has a lot of holes on it to drain all the water after you water them. Now this plant grows well in an intermediate greenhouse. Now this Cattleya orchid has been giving me blooms for every 2 months. Alright, so this is a Dendrobium Spring Dream. This is rather a beautiful new form with white, lightly fragrant flowers and a greenish central eye. It is actually standing out from a tall cane-like stems. So you will have to place this orchid in a bright spot area, but not in a direct sun. Let the compost dry out slightly on the surface before watering them again, allowing the excess water to drain away. It's very important that we don't let this orchid left sitting in water. So we also need to make sure that the plants have good air circulation and mist the leaves regularly. This one is Psychopsis papilio. Now these orchids are native to northern, southern, and central America. The flowers, as you can see, looks like butterflies with brightly colored bodies, very long antenna-like petals, and outspread wings like yellow and brown sepals. Now these flowers will last approximately 10 days, so never cut the spike once the flower died as it will continue to produce flowers for many years. These orchids love bright light. We can water them throughout the year and should be watered frequently, ensuring the water drains completely. the next one is Cattleya cernua. This orchid blooms every 2 months. Now, it's a miniature-sized orchid. Uh, it came from eastern Brazil, and this species can be found as far inland of Bolivia and Paraguay. It's a warm-growing orchid. You can mount this Cattleya cernua on a cork, and then you can put it on a hot or warm temperature area with a lot of bright lights and humidity, and you can water them throughout the year with less in cooler weather. Okay, so this one is a Dendrobium pink Nagarindra. This is a new species cultivated on 2nd of May 2017 in Thailand. So if you look on the flowers, you can see a pinkish white petals with pinkish at the tip of all 5 petals, and the flowers are semicircular. Now this is suitable for decoration, and the flower will last for like several weeks. Now, like the previous dendrobium, you have to wait till the surface media is dry, then only you can water them. Alright, so finally, after some research, I found out that this is a Phalaenopsis equestris peloric. Now, this orchid keeps growing new flowers on the same flower spike, and it can actually bloom for a long time. It can last for like 3 weeks to 3 months. Now, they call it a peloric orchid is because it has a genetic mutation that causes the petals to mimic the shape of the leaf. So peloric orchids actually begin to look more star-shaped or radially symmetric, also known as actinomorphic, meaning that you can draw a line along any plane of the flower and each segment will look about the same. Alright, so this is Aganisia cyanea. So it's a species orchid native to Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, and Brazil. And it has a blue color, which is being rare among the orchids. Now, this orchid is best accommodated if you mount them on a cork bark slab. Mine is actually potted with charcoal media, and this orchid needs high humidity and a moderate shade. Next is Vanda SUMATHI carnolina. Now this Vanda requires a lot of lights, so most growers prefer to put them on a slotted baskets where their roots are free to dangle towards the ground. And this orchid actually requires a great deal of water. So in high temperatures, you might need to water them twice a day. I have also taken a video of this Vanda orchid from the day the flower spike is noticeable till the flower has totally bloomed. Alright, so next one is Renanthera calsam, also known as red dragon. So it's a large-sized tropical orchid. Its height can reach up to 1.5 to 2 meters. And this orchid can bloom up to 3 to 4 times in a year. And sometimes the flower bloom can last for like a month. Now, what else? These orchids are extraordinary beautiful with the long, gorgeous flowers. And it's similar to how the Vanda orchids grow. So it will require a lot of bright light to grow well and to bloom regularly. Alright, so this is an epidendrum. This type of orchids are actually can be found in tropics and subtropical regions of America continents and North Carolina to Argentina. So these habitats include humid jungles, dry tropical forests, sunny grassy slopes, cool cloud forests, and sand barrier islands. So many of these species are relatively easy to grow in rich humus compost with some sand, and if you look at it, the orchid actually resembles with a dendrobium. Alright, so the last orchid that has flowers at my orchid garden is Arundina graminifolia. It is also known as a bamboo or grass orchid. Now, this orchid blooms in summer. It has a rosy lilac and white disc with purple lip. Now, you will actually see new growth from the end cane after the flowers. And normally, this orchid is just planted with soil. Now, if here in Malaysia, it's very common in road cuts, in some area in Sarawak, it's East Malaysia, where it's often a common flowering plant to be seen along the roadsides. Alright, so that's going to be enough for now. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any of my new videos. Thanks for watching.